Alright, what's up guys? This is NinjaDeathStrike bringing you another Play TCG match. And this is a match I had quite a while ago. I think this is the first night I was really testing out Play TCG to see what it could do. So I'm playing Gunmonkey 696 again. And I believe he's going to be using... I don't actually remember what deck this is going to be, but as you can see, I'm using Darkrai Tornadus. I get one of each to start, so I decided to go ahead and put Darkrai up front, and I think I benched Tornadus. I probably should have done that in the other order, just so that if I got a chance to play Dark Patch, I'd be able to attach to the Darkrai on the bench. If it's active, I can't actually use Dark Patch, so probably should switch that around. Okay, so... he's using Donphan. I think this is Vileplume Donphan, which is a deck he played 2 or 3 matches with this night, and it worked okay for him, actually, especially in this matchup. It ended up being a pretty intense match. Okay, I did lead Tornadus. That's good. He's forced to lead Alone Cleffa here, which is going to be really scary for him. All I need to do is hit a DCE, and I win. So, I realize that here. I decide not to attach the Dark Energy. My best bet is going to be to go for the DCE instead. So, ideally, I would really like to play the Junk Arm and then throw those Dark Energies in the discard, but I don't have an item in there to use, so instead I just go for an Oak. I probably still should have gone for the Juniper just to get the maximum probability to draw into a DCE, but I don't hit it here, so I'll have to wait and see if I top deck one, and that would have meant that had I played the Juniper I would have won, but here I don't get what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to attach the Dark Energy to Tornadus. That means he will have free retreat, so if I flip a heads with this Dual Ball, I can get Smeargle, and then retreat into Smeargle and Portrait, and maybe try to get something going. So I'm going to grab a Sneasel, and I assume Smeargle here, hopefully. Yes. Yes, okay, and Smeargle. At this point, I was still testing with Weevil in the deck. I have several different variations of this build, and I was just playing the Weevil variant this time, so we'll see. Have to wait and see how that works out for me, but since I have the free retreat, I'm going to go ahead and Portrait. Hope I get something useful. And it looks like I have my choice between Collector and Sage. So I assume I'm going to go for the Sage here. Collector, I don't really need it. It's not going to help me out a whole lot, so probably going to use the Sage. Yes. So I draw 5. And not a whole lot of help there. Obviously the Dark Energy is going to go right into the discard, because I can use Dark Patch then. And I do know that he's playing Vileplume, so I know that trainers need to be played now or never, and it actually looks like I decide to get rid of the Eviolite instead of the Super Scoop Up. I think it probably would have been better to do it the other way around, because I could just attach Eviolite to anything, maybe even Smeargle, and it would at least do something. Super Scoop Up, I'm probably not going to be able to use. So, in the end, I don't think it's a huge deal since I already had tools on my 2 main attackers, but it might have been better to keep the Eviolite. So, I discard that card. Oh, I must have put the Dual Ball back on top of my deck instead of discarding it, so I put it in the discard there. And the next card I draw is a Darkness Energy, so it turns out it was not a DCE, so not playing the Juniper did not, in fact, ruin my chance to win the game, so that's good to know. I do play Catcher here, probably. Okay, I go for Oddish instead of Fampy, and then I play the Super Scoop Up. I see. Alright, so I guess I'm using it as a semi-switch here to get Smeargle out of the active spot without being forced to attach for my turn. So I really don't have a whole lot going on here. I decided to go ahead and attach to Tornadus just because it does mean I'll be able to blow through for a KO this turn. He played Ruins of Alf on his turn, so blow through is going to do 60, and now I can use that junk arm to get rid of the darkness energies and get a dual wall back. That's good, not only because it's letting me get some dark energies in the discard, but it's also allowing me to get rid of the trainers in my hand, because I know Vileplume could be coming down at any moment, and I really want to not have trainers in my deck because they will be worthless. So I draw into a pretty fantastic hand here. I get 2 dark patches, which I'm just going to play immediately to attach to my Darkrai. I also get an Ultra Ball and a Junk Arm, which I guess I'm going to decide to play the Dual Ball first. I see, okay, I see what I'm doing. Grab the Shaman, that's going to let me move the Dark Energy onto Darkrai and power up Darkrai on turn 2, which is really good. This deck aims for turn 2 Darkrai. At the latest, turn 1 is possible, but with the build I have, it's not too likely just because I'm playing Weevil. It's not streamlined that much, but then I can also use an Ultra Ball, grab a Weevil, and that's going to let me call snag him. So if he does have a Twins, I'm going to be able to get rid of it, which will be really good. It'll keep him from getting into Vileplume, hopefully. So I evolve into Weevil here, go for the Claw Snag, and I see Collector, I see a Rare Candy, and a Mewtwo. So plus a DCE. I'm actually going to think about what I want to get rid of here. The Collector is not a huge deal to me right now. He already has stuff on his bench, so I don't see too much of a reason to take that. My choice is really between Mewtwo and the Rare Candy. I'd opt to go for the Mewtwo just because I'm sure he probably only plays 1, and by getting rid of it, I was hoping that I would be able to prevent him from getting an attacker or getting Mewtwo out anytime soon. I don't know. I was a little worried about it being able to just come in with that DCE and ruin my day. So I decided to get rid of that, but it probably would have been better to get rid of the Rare Candy just to make it even harder to get a Vileplume up. So he is going to play the Collector, grab a bunch more Oddishes. Looking at it now, I think that going for Collector might have been a good idea too, just because I could have prevented him from getting more Oddishes on the board. That way, if he didn't get the Vileplume this turn, I'd be able to kill Oddish next turn, and that would shut off Trainer Lock for a while anyhow, until he was able to get another one if he had it. So he does indeed grab another Oddish. He gets a Phanpy, and then he gets a Zekrom, and he puts that into his hand. He's not going to play it down yet. So here comes Donphan. It's going to do a lot of damage to Darkrai, and that is not fun. He also, like I mentioned earlier, has the Ruins of Alpha in play, so it is going to take away Tornadus' resistance to fighting, but it's still going to take quite a bit of damage to knock out this Tornadus, and that's good, especially with the Eviolite. Earthquake's only going to do 40, so he's really going to need to get some heavy impacts going in order to take him out. So he opts to just go for the Eek here and stays asleep. A minor problem, if I can get a catcher here, I would have been in really good shape since I could have killed both of the Oddishes, but I don't get the catcher. I do get an Ultra Ball, and I think I decide not to play it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I just go for the Night Spear, take out the Oddish that had damage on it, and get an Oak off of my prizes, so that's pretty good. My bench at this point is full, so I'm kind of stuck with this hand. There's not really a whole lot I can do, and once you know it, I put him into a Twins off of my end, so he is going to get a Vileplume this turn, which meant getting rid of the Collector before definitely would have been the better play, I think, because it would have kept that Oddish off the field. So now I'm going to get Trainer Locked. I held on to that Ultra Ball, even though I should have played it just to get it out of my hand, but now it's going to be stuck in there. If I shuffle my cards back in, I'm going to be forced to put it back in. and it's just not going to be a good situation for me. So he actually decides to Ultra Ball here for the Vileplume, rather than grabbing it off of the Twins. I guess he didn't really need the two cards he discarded. Gets rid of the Sage. Not a real big deal. He's got pretty much everything he needs, and Cleffa is still asleep, so this is really, really hurting me. Cleffa being asleep is definitely working in his favor because his deck is a lot slower than mine. And so it's letting him stack up energies on these Donphans so that they're going to be able to come in and heavy impact for a KO on Terrakion. So I recognize this fact. I realize I cannot leave Darkrai out this turn. I really can't do any meaningful damage with Cleffa asleep. I can only hit for 30, and then if it wakes up, I'm just going to get killed by a heavy impact. So I actually retreat into Smeargle, go for the Portrait, and end up being forced to use an N. And hey, look at that. I draw into the Ultra Ball that I did not play before, but I do get an Oak as well, so be able to get my hand back up to size. Maybe get something more useful. I get a Sneasel and a Weevil, so that's cool when the time comes for something to be knocked out. Like I said, I'm kind of stuck as far as bench space goes, though, so just kind of sitting around waiting for Cleffa to wake up. Meanwhile, he's stacking fighting energies onto these Donphans. Every turn that passes, it's just kind of tilting the game more and more in his favor because it's letting him stream big, slow attackers. And when he can do that, it really doesn't matter if I'm set up first because I can't take advantage of it. So the longer that Cleffa stays asleep, just the worse my situation is going to be. And here we get another Twin, so that's probably the other card he grabbed off of the last Twins instead of just going for the Vileplume. Since he had the Ultra Ball, he's gonna allow himself the chance to stream Twins here, just get all the cards he needs while he sets up behind Cleffa. So probably getting I would guess a Fighting Energy and a Twins here. Another Twins. I'm not positive. He might have had the Fighting Energy, but if he didn't, I'm sure that's probably what he got. And Cleffa is still asleep, so I just attach DCE to Tornadus. Gonna retreat into Weevil because I don't want to lose my Smeargle. I don't want a Portrait because I have things in my hand I want to keep. So just gonna retreat and pass, and Cleffa is still asleep. So it's not as big a deal going into his turn because it's not buying him any more turns to set up. It's really important when it's on my turn. So finally it wakes up here. I'm going to get to kill it. And the question is who I want to take it out with. So I just decide to attach the extra Dark Energy here to Tornadus. That way I can go for Power Blast. And it won't be a big deal if I have to discard the energy. And then for some reason I decide to go into Darkrai here. I'm not sure what possessed me to do this. Tornadus was obviously the right choice there. I guess what I wanted to do, my thought process at the time was, alright, let's hit the Zekrom for 30, and that way if it ever comes active, I'll be able to take it out in one shot with Tornadus, because Tornadus cannot take out Zekrom in one hit, but I definitely would have been better off going into Tornadus, just taking the KO on Cleffa, and then forcing him to bring something up to deal with Tornadus. If he brings up Donphan, that's fine. I can kill it before it dies. If he brings up Zekrom, then I could have retreated into Darkrai and attacked. So that was definitely a huge, huge misplay on my behalf, and it's going to cost me 2 prizes. So I was up 3 prizes, and I wasted my only Darkrai pretty much for no reason at all. That was just a really dumb play, and it definitely cost me. So here I decided to play my Oak first, see what happens. I do get a Darkrai, another one, after I killed my first one, so that's good. But I don't get any Dark Energy, so I'm not really going to be able to attach here if I decide to bench it, which I probably should. I could also bench that Sneasel, but his hand is so big right now. Claw Snag is not going to be that effective, most likely. But it looks like that's what I decided to do, so okay then. Now I'm going to retreat. I'm trying to figure out which Tornadus I want to go into, and I opt to go for the one without the Violite first. I know that Zekrom is going to come up eventually and outrage me for a bunch of damage, and I really want to keep the Violated Tornadus around to deal with these Donphans if I can. So I decided if he's going to attack with Zekrom, I'm going to leave the least valuable Tornadus up instead of putting up the big one. Force him to attack into that, and then since I do have the 30 damage on it, I'll be able to kill it with a Power Blast if that's what happens. So not a bad plan on my behalf. Now that I've made the mistake, after I made the mistake with the Darkrai anyhow. So we get another Sage here. I really don't know what he would be looking for at this point. I guess, yeah, another Donphan. He's already got one ready to go, plus Zekrom, which is going to give me a huge, which is going to be a huge pain to deal with, but getting another Donphan up is just going to add to my problems. So because I don't have a Violite, Heavy Impact's going to do the full damage, 190, and that's going to allow him to 2-hit KO me. So here I go for the Juniper, just to get rid of some of those items, the worthless items in my hand, and hopefully get an energy. And I draw into 5 more item cards, so that's cool. My hand's pretty much dead now. I can attach that dark energy, but I don't have anything on the bench to attach it to. And that's all I can do. I don't have a supporter. I don't have any way to get rid of these awful items in my hand, so I'm pretty much stuck. Which is why Vileplume can be so disruptive, especially in this format where a lot of decks run 30 or more trainer cards, and a lot of those, usually at least 20 of them, are item cards, so that's quite a bit of useless cards in the deck once Vileplume does come down. So here I do get the knockout on the first Donphan, but now this one is going to be able to come up and actually Heavy Impact me for a KO. All he has to do is attach a Fighting Energy, and so that means my whole idea of trying to force him to attack into this Tornadus with his Zekrom is not really going to pan out. And now, to make matters even worse, another Zekrom comes down, and that is a problem, because although I can take out the first one with one hit, I cannot take out the second one, so the only way to kill it is to attack into it. So here it looks like I'm thinking about attaching a Dark Energy to Weevil. I don't know why I would do that. Instead I just decide to attach just Smeargle. I assume because I'm going to play down my Darkrai this turn. I go for the Portrait first and actually hit an N. So I'm going to put us both at 2 cards. Why I didn't play that Darkrai down, I haven't the slightest idea. Especially since I don't have another attacker ready to go. That was, wow, really bad play on my part. I kind of played like shit this game, to be honest. So the prizes are actually tied up now. I need to take 2 more. All he needs to do to win the game is knock out this Tornadus. So yeah, benching that Darkrai would have been huge. I am able to end him down to 2 cards, which is nice. It's going to limit his options. Also, he can't play Twins anymore because he's not losing, so that's good. But I'm in a pretty bad spot because I don't have another attacker. So I'm going to check out Sneasel. I guess I decide I'm going to start charging him up. Because I might actually have to attack with him. So let's see what I do. Yeah, okay, I go for Weevil instead. Not sure what I'm planning to do here, but okay. So there we go. I take out the Donphan for 1 prize, and it's pretty much going to come down to this. I know because I did end him, the chances of him having a DCE are pretty low. So he's going to have to attack me with this Zekrom, and in order for him to take the KO, he would have to have the exact card that he has, Black Belt. So otherwise, I did the math in my head. He would have been 10 damage short of a KO on Tornadus, and that would have meant he wouldn't have been able to take the prize. So his only options, assuming he didn't have a black belt, which since I ended him down to 2, I figured was pretty unlikely, were to promote his naked Zekrom and hope he got a DCE, or to promote Donphan and be forced to go for a 2-hit KO. So my reasoning with the last move was actually sound. Unfortunately, I think a couple of misplays, mainly the one where I let Darkrai die, kind of cost me the game. But it turned out to be a really good match. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a comment in the description if you care to. Thumbs up if you liked watching the video, and I will have more coming your way shortly. Thanks, guys.